Praise the Lord, everybody. This is Vicky Pacheco, and I'm going to be doing a tutorial on a Latin song called Camino Al Cielo yo voy. It's a little bit different than the other tutorial that I did, which was more based on a salsa rhythm. And we're going to be looking at a different type of Latin rhythm, which is more of a merengue when it comes to Camino Al Cielo, and you can apply it to pretty much all the Latin songs, just choosing between those two rhythms, which one you're wanting to do. So for Camino Al Cielo yo voy, it's going to be a merengue style. We're going to be doing it in the key of D minor. Okay, so a little bit similar to the last video, but just rhythm wise it's different. For right hand we have A octave, and then we have D and F as our two middle notes, and then your octave is going to go from A to A sharp. D and F is going to stay the same, and pretty much your rhythm is going to be okay. So you're going to have your A octave, then you're going to break up D and F, then A sharp, D and F, and then back down to A, and just repeat that over and over again. Okay. Okay, and then you're going to move D and F is going to go down to C sharp and E. You're going to keep A octave the same. And then your octave is going to move down to G, C sharp and E again, and then back up to A. And then you keep repeating that. Okay, so together. Okay. Okay. Left hand, you're going to have D with the fifth, which is A. Back and forth. And it's a steady, consistent rhythm. In the other video, it's more of a salsa, which you have. But in merengue, it's just a steady. Okay? And that's whenever you're playing the D minor. You're gonna. So pretty much every time you hit an octave, that's when you're going to be doing each bass note. So you have. Okay. Then when you move down to A, your octave, your bass is going to move to A and E, which is the fifth, A and the fifth of E. Okay, and the same thing. Pretty much basically the full song. Okay, now going into the song at the very beginning, we have Yo estoy contento porque me tengo la vida eterna que Jesucristo me dio. Tengo gozo, tengo paz, tengo alegría. Octave on both hands, A sharp, then walk down, A, G, F, E, D. And when you land on D, you're going to do a D minor chord at the end. So Camino al Cielo yo voy. Okay? And then esa alegría que yo siento aquí en mi vida, yo no la cambio por la gloria de este mundo. Estaba muerto y Jesús me dio la vida. Camino al cielo yo tengo un gozo, tengo alegría. Tengo a Jesús, tengo la paz, tengo la vida. Yo tengo un gozo, tengo alegría. Camino al cielo yo voy. So pretty much every time you sing Camino al Cielo yo voy, it emphasizes with the. Okay, and that's pretty much your full out song. Another way you can play it If you have a bass player, this is pretty much what you're doing in your left hand, is pretty much what the bass player does. So if you have a good strong bass player and you don't really have to do that part, you can change it up a little bit. And another way of doing it is in our left hand, we're gonna have a D minor chord, okay? And I'm just gonna invert it, and I'll explain in a little bit why. So D minor, this is an inverted D minor chord, which is A, D, and F. Okay, I'm sorry, A, D, and F. Yes, so this A right here, I'm just putting it down here. Okay, and it's just from here, I'm going to move these two, D and F. I'm going to move it to C sharp or D flat, however you want to call it, C sharp and E. So that's the reason why I do the inverted D minor. That way it's easy to move between these two, rather than having to jump or the transition is a little bit easier, but of course that depends on you how you want to do that. This works for me, so you have again inverted D minor chord, which is A, D, and F, and then your rhythm on this is pretty much be playing that chord and then move that D and F to C sharp and E. And that's an A major. Okay, and then in your right hand, the same thing we taught before, only we're going to be playing it a little bit different. Okay, we're going to be doing let me see, the same thing. We're going to start with our two notes in the middle, which is D and F. Okay, and you're pretty much just going to play those double. Okay, and then you're going to fall on the octave A. Okay, and then D and F again, one time, and then back to the A. So you got ba 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 ba. Okay, and then the same thing when you move to the A, right? You're moving D and F down to C sharp and E. And you're just staying on that A, okay? Okay, and in between, that's when your chord in your left hand is going to come in. So after you do the double, when you're starting in D minor, when you do the double notes on your right, you're going to come in with the chord in your left after. So you have... okay, and then the octave, chord again. Okay, so they're pretty much alternating. So you got... here and moving D and F, both D and F, moving them to C sharp and E, and then the same thing. Okay, so then just when you play it fast, you have... it. Now if you want to keep adding more to it, of course you can play around with it. You can do okay, and that pretty much you're just playing around with the two notes, your D and F, right? And you're just walking up, E, G, F, A. You're just playing around with it. And then if you're in A, you have C sharp and E, D, F, E, and G, and come back down to D and F. And a lot of it, just experiment with it and just play around with it and see how you like it. So. Or you can just play around with the octaves and not even use the notes in the middle. Or you can mix it up and use both. Okay, and just play around with it. And a lot of it depends on your taste and how you like it, and just practice and see what best works for you or what you like best, and take from it, add to it. And there's a lot more that you can do to it, but that's kind of something simple and basic that can get you started. And then from there, let your creativity and inspiration take over. So again, that was Camino Al Cielo Yo Voy, more of a merengue style, and those were kind of two ways you can play it. You can either play it, or you can play it right, or okay, and it just depends on your liking again. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in, and of course you can message me, email me Vicky Pacheco music at hotmail.com, or shoot me a message on Facebook or on Instagram if there is anything else that I can help with, any request as far as how to play a certain song. Glad to help and be a blessing to your ministry. God bless you guys.